So a few weeks ago, I was reading in the paper about a NASA satellite going into emergency mode and powering down. And it took a little time, but NASA was able to re-engage the power and get the satellite going again. But the real question that might be on some people's minds is, what really happened? Now this got me thinking. I'm a real curious person, so I'd like to share some things I learned with you in a few episodes saga. And I say saga because it's gonna take a few episodes to fully get through this. Now because it's a very controversial topic, I'm gonna go ahead and tackle this one with as many aspects from knowledge and experience that I possibly can. And if you guys would like to chime in, I encourage you to do so in the comments section down below. Okay, so first, I'm gonna need you to come into this with an open mind. Next, I'm going to go ahead and validate this as an actual love and hate with these parameters. The fact that I love a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about, but I also hate closed-minded people and a few other things I'm sure I'll mention in the process. I'll go ahead and admit there are some times when I myself am closed-minded. I'm not perfect. I don't think anybody is. But I will explain how anything and everything you can imagine, dream, believe in, or even subscribe to or follow is absolutely possible to some degree or extent. And with that being said, I'll start at the beginning. The Bible tells us that God created the heavens and the earth. Animals, plants, and people. Adam and Eve. Okay, so that's religion. It's a small part in a story that's told to us. Now some people believe the story, some people don't. Some people believe that life was sparked into existence by some unexplainable, unredoable process. That primitive organisms were created from water. They evolved into swimming, thriving creatures that evolved to some point when they moved to the land and then adapted and evolved into animals and eventually even human beings. People like you and me. Now that's what's known as science. And some people would agree that's the truth. And again, some people wouldn't. And while some are on the side of religion, some are on the side of science, this leads to many debates, which in turn turn into disputes, and then turn into wars, which then turn into segregation of the masses, which in turn breeds hate, debates, disputes, wars, and so on. Now this process is not evolution, but it does call for an advancement. Science moves forward trying to explain the origins of life. However, it just leaves more questions. It tries to disprove religion, ultimately finding biblical figures to be real-life people, which just spawns more questions and brings more followers to religion. And the religious don't really need proof that something exists. They wholeheartedly believe in it and stake their lives on it because they have faith. But what if you don't believe in one or the other? Does that make you wrong? No, it certainly doesn't. There's Scientology, which I won't even pretend to know what that is. There are atheists who believe in nothing at all. And there are a slew of religious sects, some believing in the same stories with a different interpretation, and some with completely different views. This is especially relevant when, in this day and age, people fear Muslims. And that's because of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. But in essence, these are different sects of the Muslim religion, which just have different interpretations. And that causes, in essence, a holy war. There's a quote from an anime show that's based in science fiction, but very close to the pulse of reality. And it says, "There is no greater army than those with a holy call." And throughout the centuries, this has proven to be absolutely true. Now at this point, you might be saying to yourself, did he say science fiction? Isn't that completely fictional science? Well, let me tell you, if you didn't already know, sci-fi has influenced scientific discovery to the point where the things you use today that you would never even think about, just put it in the back of your mind, were all created from a book, TV show, a movie, or even an idea. Well, I guess it all starts as an idea. And most of those items you probably couldn't imagine living without. This past week, I asked you guys on Facebook, what is your favorite scientific discovery? And here's what you guys said. Melissa says, the vibrator, because it makes you feel good, it doesn't give you shit, and sure as fuck doesn't talk back. Alright. Ralph says that's a tough one. I'd say I'll go with the internet. Hell yeah. Timothy says AC power. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Jen says, I don't know. I'd have to say I love the discovery of dinosaurs and learning about space and time. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to that stuff. Obviously, so am I. Ellie says, every time a new animal species is found. Gina Marie says, I would say extreme weather, like earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunami, hurricanes, and it's really interesting on how or when these things can happen. I said, do you mean like predicting them? And she said, yes. Okay, yeah, that's really cool how they can predict the weather. Whether it's something we take for granted every day, like simple electricity, or the studies of the far reaches of the universe, to the simpler pleasures of life, the creature comforts such as the internet, or even a vibrator. We use these things all the time, and someone dreamed them into existence. So it was once fiction, and now it's fact. Sadly, I'm going to pause this conversation until next week, as I gather my thoughts to what that episode is going to entail. I'll also be looking at your comments on this matter, as well as answers to this week's question, which is, if you're religious, what religious story or tale has given you the most inspiration in your life? And if not, I want to know what fictional or non-fictional event or story really turned your life around and gave you inspiration. That's all I got for now. I'll see you guys next week.